Roy, do you want to record the intro?
Can you record this intro?
Sure, no worries. I'm gonna record a quick intro and then we can
just,
just get into it with the chill vibes as per the usual.
He just fired the question
Alright, hold
back to Satu.
Right? This motherfucker.
Satu asked you, and then you asked Satu back.
No, it's just it's an idiosyncrasy of yours. It's quite adorable, Roy. Hey yo, it's your boy Satuye, and I'm joined with Roy, Miggy, and Ali. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. If you haven't heard of it, it's one of the most talked about isekai animes of recent times, and it's currently releasing the second part of season 2. And today, in anticipation of that, we're going to be breaking down season 1, which we just finished watching, reacting to it. We're going to explore the character development, the intricate interpersonal relationships, the expansive world building, the plot twist, central themes, and of course, like the most notable moments that left us all speechless. Whether you're a longtime fan or this is something you're just finding out about, we've got a little bit about something for everybody. So without any further ado, let's get into the video.
Whoa!
All right.
Isekai. We're gonna be isekai. Whoa!
Oh, review time. Wow.
Editors, please do something cool with that. Jesus Christ.
Or just take it out. We could just take out that whole segment.
Lord Jesus. So I wanted to talk about a couple of different things today. I'm glad that we all watched Mushoku Tensei together, and I'm glad that we watched a recap as well just recently. And I wanted to get everyone's thoughts, and I'll firstly start with this. What did everyone think of the main character's development? Because as we were talking about it, there was a lot of different opinions. Some of you guys thought it was like slow. Some of you thought it was quick. Some of you thought it was whatever. Break down for me, at least with Rudius, what you guys think his character development, how it was for you. Like if you enjoyed it, if you thought it was too slow, if you thought it was just right, if you thought it was unrealistic or whatever. Rap with me. Ali, what are your thoughts?
In the beginning, it was good. He was a child. He's still growing up. So they were still getting to know him. But then as it went on, there were so many time skips. Well, not so many, but there were a few time skips.
Yeah.
So I felt it was a bit, rushed. But as we're moving into season 2 and towards the end of season 1, it was good. I liked it. But like towards the middle, though, I felt it was a bit rushed. I wish we saw more before the time skips.
What exactly did you want to see more of before the time skips?
I don't know exactly, but I don't know. Something about it just felt a bit, they just jumped at a certain time.
Fair enough.
I can't really remember specifics.
Because I feel, weirdly enough, I feel like exactly the opposite, funny enough. But I don't want to jump into that just yet because, I'll talk my head off. Roy, what were your thoughts with how, Rudius' character development went throughout the first season?
Okay, I'm gonna be talking about his personality for a little bit.
Go ahead.
You could tell that he was a shut-in. He was like, I don't know what the specific word is, but I'll just use it right now
Hikikomora?
in a more lenient. I was gonna say incel, but yes, I'm gonna say.
God damn!
But
No, that's fair.
So he got reincarnated into a child, right? And from then on, yes, I do agree with Ali. There was a little bit of choppiness and it felt a little bit rushed at times. But at the same time, it felt a little bit slow in terms of what they were trying to achieve with the character developments. So I think only then, after part 2 of season 1, did I feel like the pacing got a little bit better. Because a lot of things were happening. There was action scenes with Speared and was it Eris?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eris, right? And I felt like those interactions and that chemistry worked better than in season 1 with the mentor and Rudius.
With Roxy.
Yes. Yeah, Roxy. And I did like his character development throughout. He did learn a lot of lessons of I think the most notable moment was that he witnessed death when he was trying to protect Eris, and then remember that scene in the alleyway with the robbers?
Yeah, where they were faking the kidnapping that turned into a real kidnapping.
Yeah, and then his whole world just kind of crumpled, and it kind of it made him feel like, oh shit, this is real, right?
Yeah.
He never thought about death because he was reincarnated, right? He thought about a new life rather than death. And to that, I was like, oh, that's a really good concept that he was willing to explore, right? there are some new concepts that eventually did get explored throughout. But as I said, the personality thing, when he was talking about like, I don't know how to feel about that. You know what I mean? Like,
Talking about what exactly?
I'll give you one example. Remember in Chainsaw Man? Like this is another anime.
I'm with
but,
you.
like,
I'm with you.
I'll make it as adjacent as possible. Remember when his motivation, the main character's motivation, was that
Denji?
he wanted to, he wanted to touch boobs.
He
Like-
wanted, yeah,
Yeah.
boy.
So I was reading the manga, right? I read that line specifically, and I just stopped reading. It was around. It's a good thing that I was watching with you guys, like Mushoku Tensei, because like I was willing to go on the journey to find out about it. I'm very close-minded in that way. If something turns me off conceptually, then I'll just like, well, I tried. Like
It was a
that's
good
it.
run.
I'm very
It
simple-minded
was a
in that
good
way.
run.
Yeah, because it was like, yeah, it was a good run. Like it was like chapter 10 or something of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Mushoku Tensei.
it's pretty early on.
Very early on. But then I realized, like, as I watched Chainsaw Man, it made sense because not every character is like that. This is how it is, how it pretty much is in real life. Not a lot of people have motivations. They haven't gone through life yet, and for them to have something that simple is kind of beautiful in another way, where it doesn't have to be as deep. You know, you want to win because you want to win. It's a human instinct. It's nature for us to do so. And then for Mushoku Tensei, like him going through panties.
So, no, Roy, it's the sacred object.
Sacred object.
The sacred object. Sorry.
Box.
Sorry, the one that was sealed away. Yeah. It was hard to grasp it. I don't know about your guys' opinion on that, but basically that's it. That's my take on Rudius as a main character. Like, I don't hate it. Like, I slowly will appreciate any type of personality that makes a character, right?
Right.
If they're boring and if it's something that I expected, of course, not going to be interesting. It's a good thing that this is interesting because it is different. So yeah, I'm just excited for season 2 now.
I feel that, and I think those are very interesting points that I want to touch on in a bit. But before we dive too deeply into that, Miggy, I wanted to know from you, from your perspective, right? Because I really appreciate where you're coming from in terms of how you're seeing like Rudius' personality.
Okay.
And Ali, I do appreciate how you're like considering the time skips and whatnot. Miguel, what were your thoughts? How did you think Rudius' character development was for you in the first season?
It's okay. Just kidding. Okay. To dive in deeper, bro. In terms of power scaling, it was a typical type of isekai anime where the MC is overpowered and all that. I mean, I get it, yeah. But what was interesting for me was the journey. You know, season 1 journey was part 1 and part 2. For me, it was okay paced. You know, not too rushed, not too long, and
Yeah.
it made me feel invested on the show because of the place that they go to, the side quests that they do. You know, because they have the initial goal of going home, right?
Yeah.
Until they find out that everything is wiped out already. But before that, I like the place that they went to. I like the people that they met, and it's all connected. They all know each other, like that. And for me, I like that. You know, it shows the growth slowly, not just for Rudius, but for Aries as well, and the Spurred. See, Ruijerd.
There you go. I struggle to pronounce his name too. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's I like it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can back that. I find it really interesting. So, because the reason I ask you this, right, and I find Ali's perspective also very interesting because I have almost an opposite one. Rather than it being weirdly paced, I almost think that, and I don't think it's slow, but I almost think that, I know it's part 1 and part 2. I almost feel like it was 2 seasons, right? Because like and for me at least in some senses, contextualizing it, so much happens that I think back and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. He's done that since he was a kid, or he's done that since or look at, and it's, to me, I think of it so much like that. And I also don't start counting him as a kid. I start counting him since his previous life, right? Because like he may be in the body of a child, but he's, I don't know, like 30 or something. by the time he's, whatever, 14, 15, at the end of the first season, I think mentally at the very least, I think he's older than his father,
Yeah.
right? Paul.
Yeah.
And, I really like stuck into that perspective because there's so many instances that I found interesting where like they would talk about how Rudius wasn't a child, right? Like he'd be so mature. Paul would comment on that. Lilia and
The
so on
maid.
and so forth. The maid too. What's her name?
I don't know, but she was hot.
Who? The maid?
Yeah.
Lilia?
Yeah.
Is that her?
Lilia.
Yeah, Lilia. No, that's the mother, isn't it?
No,
No.
Zenith is the mother.
Lily. Tamara. Okay, so when Zenith and Lilia, who yes I agree is definitely not, would comment on how like kind of mature he is, I found it really interesting because the juxtaposition was right. Even though he is completely a grown man, right, he's still in a little boy's body. But then concurrently, even though in his previous life he was a grown man, he was emotionally stunted in so many ways that he was still, I don't know, childish, immature. So like I took it like in that sort of like frame, and I found it so interesting that it almost felt like, I don't know, multiple seasons jam packed into one thing, and I really appreciated that. Though the thing that I think I appreciated the most, right, was his attempt at redemption, Rudius's attempt at redemption, because I had that so much in mind. I was always thinking about, okay, from Hikikimora to hero almost, right? Like you saw it in the beginning when he was a kid. Little by little, he was like, okay, I'll go with Roxy and I'll go out of my like house, so to speak. And he had those flashes of like previous traumas and what happened in his past life. And I'm not gonna lie, he was like, that was honestly, that was just pretty fucked up what happened. That was pretty hardcore
Bullying.
I don't even know if that's bullying or hazing.
Yeah.
That was like assault. You know what I mean? That was pretty hardcore. I won't lie.
Harassment.
And right, and to see him like overcome that, I'm like, all right, cool. And then little by little, you see him overcome so many things. He becomes friends with Sylphiette, right? Which he thought was Sylphie. So he learns how to become friends, with boys, and then with girls, and then slowly tries to understand like the fair sex better and positions of power better and himself better. And I did really enjoy it because it was nice to see the difference between his personality of wanting to do that in his previous life, where when he tried that, he was like mean to his friend, and even though he wanted his friend to come back and make up with him, he never did, and he kind of just didn't have anything. To him actively seeking that out and trying, and even when he would talk with the man god, I assume for now let's call him the man god.
He is the man god. Yeah.
In
Human god.
That's the thing. I don't know what the translation is. In the recap, they kept calling him the human god, but in the anime, they call him the man god. So I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
I like
But
man.
even
God.
with him, right? Me too, right? But even in those situations, he didn't trust him, and he was still. And as you can tell, right? And that's why I thought it was so interesting. In the scenes with the man god, his ethereal or cosmic or heavenly body is of his previous life, and you can still see he holds on to so much of that, right? The distrustfulness, I guess the caginess, a lot of the negative things, right? And the fact that he was able to overcome that effectively, I don't know. I felt that was pretty interesting. I thought that was pretty cool, and I really appreciated that. You know what I mean? So for me, the development and pacing, I don't know. I thought it was pretty spot on. But I do hear where you're coming from, Ali, in terms of how how the time skips did impact the perception of Rudius. In any event, though, the other thing I think we should kind of dive into more, and I kind of want to hear more what you were talking about in terms of character motivation, because I think this like really contextualizes the interpersonal relationships a lot, Roy, is where you were like turned on or off by his motivation.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get into that.
Want to break
Yes.
that down a bit?
Yeah. So his motivation in the beginning was just to like, let me learn magic, right? It was really good. Like for him to, it's kind of like a power scaling anime at that point where you want to see him, like the mind of an adult but the body of a child, like kind of go through learning all these things, like learning a new language, learning new skills in a new world, right? New environment, new atmosphere, and everything. And he adapted very well into that. Like he kind of accepted the fact that he got reincarnated as someone in a different world, and he was willing to change who he was back then into a new person that he wants to become now. And that was great. And then there are side motivations of just like boobs and like I get it. Like I may not be into the culture of it all, right? I'm not saying it's bad or it's good or
Just
anything
not a
like that.
fan.
I'm not gonna comment on it. I, I wouldn't even say I'm a fan. I just don't understand it. I'd rather not hate something that I don't understand. I'd rather understand it more so I can eventually maybe see eye to eye with a lot of people that do like this anime a lot because of his motivations. There are different things of why I like Mushoku Tensei. Maybe I don't see eye to eye with you guys with what I like about it. I mean, we can all agree like the main thing that I like about it are the action scenes, and that's what keeps me up, like keeps me going. I'm like, oh, where's this all gonna go? I thought that the action scenes in all of in the anime so far is great. It's fantastic. The animation style, like the jitteriness and the
Yeah.
vivid like movement of it all.
Yeah.
Like that's what's really good to me.
And
Going
the
back
bright
to the
coloration
motivations.
too. Did you like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's like neon, right? They kind of show.
Yeah.
If he's using fire, just the lighting really helps, and you kind of know he's using a fire skill because of that.
Yeah.
And it's just the visualization of it all. Anyone can make a good action fight scene just like based on movement, but not a lot of people can achieve it good with what you're keeping up with. Like in terms of, for example, like if you see two people, they're having a fight. It's good to have like them fighting and there's a lot of movement and there's a lot of punches, there's weight behind it, that's fine. But it's hard to keep up as an audience because of maybe one person looks different from the other guy, but how do you achieve visualization from that? And they do that like excellently with lighting, and that's why I like Mushoku Tensei's fighting a lot. That's from recent memory. Like the ones that I remember that are really good are like Demon Slayer fight scenes,
Yes.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes.
In the latter half of season one, because I'm only on season one. Of course, Chainsaw Man, and then Mushoku Tensei.
Yes.
Like I would say that Mushoku Tensei is like up there as of right now. I'm not that cultured in anime yet, but in terms of fight scenes, like it's excellent. But yeah, I kind of delved somewhere else. That's not motivations.
No, no, it's okay.
But
It's okay.
that's just about it. That's just about what motivations that I saw in Rudius. He is a deeper character, but that's just who he is, and that's what he makes it to be. Yes, he will be a better character, and there is development that I do see when he is talking to the man god, when he's talking to his own father, Paul. Right?
Yeah.
Like you can tell he's not only like a pervert, but he's generally a wise person. Like he knows what he's talking about. No,
I
it's
agree.
just that
Swordsman. No, I
he
agree.
does get
Good
caught.
swordsman.
He
He's not
does get
just
caught.
a
in the-
pervert. You know what I mean?
no, I know. He's a deeper character than that, and he's not like a lustful character like what a lot of people do see. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
That was my mistake eventually.
No,
Or
but
like,
that's why
back then.
I really like that you brought that up because I find that interesting. And Ali, Miguel, I want to hear what you guys want to say too because like one way or another, that character motivation affects his relationships, right? And that's something that at least to me I felt like really stood out. He, obviously was lusting over his, I don't even know, second cousin. What's the child of your cousin? Someone you shouldn't fuck, probably, but it's medieval times. You know what I mean? And he's lusting over her, and there's somewhat of a playful banter to it. But then, when Eris leaves and he's heartbroken, I'm like, there's clearly a lot of depth and like dynamic to it. So that's why I was like curious as to where you saw that or how you saw that fitting in. Like, does it take away? Does it, does that lustfulness take away from the depth and the quality of it? Does it add to it? What are your thoughts, Ali?
Just one thing I want to touch up on what Roy said about
Okay, go ahead.
motivation. I feel like was it the calamity? Is whatever that thing happened?
The mana-
The
mana
calamity?
calamity.
The
No.
mana calamity.
Just before the
Yeah, the mana
Yeah.
calamity. So yeah, like pre-calamity Rudius and post-calamity Rudius. I feel like the motivation between the two are I guess somewhat different because pre-calamity, when he was still at home, sure he was playing into the role of a child, having fun, the
Yeah.
sacred object, and
Trying to learn magic.
and then when he was sent away from his home by his dad,
Yeah.
when he's like sent, I guess you can say, into the real world. I guess that's when he shifted from being a child to actually adapting to his,
Like
what
mental
is it,
age.
like much mental age, yeah.
Yeah.
And then now post calamity, his with all his friends, not being with his family. I feel like that's where his motivation changed to being with women than to actually helping people.
Trying to get home.
Yeah.
Which I loved. Which I loved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now reuniting with his dad, realizing his mom is not found.
Yeah.
Missing. They're all missing. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a, you know what? That's a fair point. I give that to you because that's true, right? Like as depressed as he was right after Iris left, the one thing that got him out of his depression was he was like, "Shit, my mom's still missing. I got to get up. I got to get my ass moving. Go find her." That's fair. That's fair. But so okay, well, okay. What about you, Miggy? What do you think in terms of like what Ali and Roy was saying? Like, do you think his motivations were heavily affected by his perversions? Do you think like they changed like because of the mana calamity? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, what they said.
When you say something so
Enough
well,
said.
It was so well explained
one.
that I don't need to say anything.
No, but I'll expound on that. Ali is right. Like post calamity and like pre calamity.
yeah,
Both are different Rudiuses. But for me personally, I thought that his progression, or I found his character a little bit more interesting, was when he witnessed that death from those robbers.
fair.
Like that to me, that's when everything shifted. Like there was, yes, of course, Rudius was still a young kid. You can't really say that he's a fleshed out character from the get go because he is still learning. Because he died. What's the word? It's not incel. What's the word that you used, Satu?
Hikikomora.
Yeah,
we can go
what
with
you said.
incel.
I don't want to say that because it's not. It's just the closest thing I have in my vernacular, just for that.
Sure,
But,
fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, like those are two different characters. But when that specific scene happens, which I still do think is my favorite scene from the anime, my personal favorite moment, was his kind of whole world just kind of crushed and felt like it was like he was hazing. Like he realized like the gravity of it all, the responsibility that he has now, the motivations that he has to protect Eris now, especially after the calamity. It was more like expanded on.
Yeah.
Because yes, the mana calamity was like crucial in that they were all separated, and he has more of a motivation and responsibility now. He has an obligation to help Eris to go back home. But now that he meets Paul, there's like things stacking on, and
Yeah.
then he realizes that, oh shit, this is real.
Yeah.
Like yes, he did realize it before, but things are a little bit more. I think for in Ali's terms, a little bit more paced well. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in the first half, it was a little bit. It wasn't slow. I wouldn't say it was slow. As I said before, it was paced correctly. They just didn't choose what to expand on correctly.
Yeah.
Like there were some side things happening, like that's kind of useless. It's like, it's fine, but it is for his motivation, I guess, or not motivation, but for his own development. You do want to get to know Rudius from the audience's perspective, so I do get it still.
No, I get you.
Yeah,
I
but
get
now
you.
that you do, yeah.
I think you bring up a good point. I think like when he reunited with Paul, I think that was also a very notable turning point for Rudius as well, right? And I mean this both like literally and figuratively, because obviously the way he meets Paul, right, is he sees a kid from his hometown, thinks he's being kidnapped, so his motivation is noble, right? He's like, okay, whatever, I'm by myself. Even if I'm by myself, I'm gonna beat these kidnappers. And it was the kid that bullied him too, by the way, right? Yeah. So he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna save him. Da 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 da. Right? How does he do that? He's like, shit, I can't get caught. I gotta feel this. Oh, this feels familiar. I gotta put this on as a mask, and it's some random chick's panties, right? And so it's like that dichotomy, right, between the true nobility and then the perversions that make up Rudius. Mm-hmm. And then he reunites with his father. And he has it out with Paul for a bit, right? He's telling it to him in like kind of this jovial light mood, but then obviously it gets really heavy. And And I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Shit, I cried in those moments, right? Because I felt there was a lot of weight to it. Like when Rudius like went off and he was hitting Paul, obviously like not super hard, but you know, Paul could easily beat Rudius in a 1v1 fight. But you could see
But-
that he was so overwhelmed with emotion, he was just letting him hit him, right? And then
Yeah.
in you know in the next one when they reunite, you can see that Rudius realized that it's not just about him. There's so many other people, and there's so many other people's developments and things at hand that are also just as relevant. And when he hugged Paul, I cried. I can't lie to you. That was so good.
Me too.
But I
It's a
think-
good reunion scene. I would
Right?
say. It's a very good.
And I feel
reunion
like
scene.
also this anime has a deeper meaning than people actually realize.
Absolutely.
Like,
yes, I
He's-
100%.
Ali cook.
It's a kid who's at home. He gets sent away by his parents to make his own money. Like in a real term, you can say making his own money to go to college. You can say, but he wants to go to magic school, of course,
For selfie. Yeah.
and saving up his friend. So he's forced to work. He gets sent away from his parents. New environment. He has to adapt, and then he gets sent separate from everyone. He makes friends, finds people he loves, new motivation to protect them. And then also one thing, when his dad sent him away, it wasn't, I guess, on good terms, right?
Yeah,
Like, he was mad.
yeah.
And then when they reunited,
They had a fight.
when they reunited, they also fought. They picked up from where they left off.
True.
And then Satu, you said when they hugged, that was,
Right, because you could see
Damn.
just the viscerality of it. Because neither of them are bad, right? It's not like they're evil people or wishing to like hurt or punish each other, and you see that happening. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it really did bring a tear to my eyes because like you're just like, Paul, get on your knees, and then he hugged him, and then you could see like the way Paul's muscles, like when he hugged Rudius, were all tight and stuff, and he started crying, and bro, it broke me a little bit, you know what I mean? Because I thought that was so beautiful. But I think at that point, the reason I bring up that point is I think it really changed Rudius's the way he interacted or related with people, right? I think it deepened it even more because and that's the thing I think is really important is Rudius's interpersonal relationships, right? And like you guys noted, after the Mana calamity, he wanted to start helping Rudius. He started wanting to help the Spurred.
Spurred.
The Spurred, which was a great motivation, right? And he developed that, right? And after they left the city and the demon continent, he earned like a mutual respect, right? Because of the resolve of how he wanted to now protect Eris, help change the perception of the Spurds, and how he really committed to that. You saw that like change, and then you also saw, rather than Rudius just being somewhat of an obligatory teacher to Iris, him really connecting to her, and not just I'm just trying to get laid or this, but like with real, genuine sincerity. And when he saw Paul, I feel like that just deepened even more and more and more, all the way up until where I actually the pinnacle where I feel like he exemplified that was on the mountain pass where he fights the dragon disciple, or is that the dragon god even? I'm not sure which one it is, but whatever his name is,
Orsted.
was Orsted. When he fights Orsted, Rujit gets laid out quick, Iris even quicker, and he kills Rudius. But just before then, Rudius takes it to its maximum level and hits Orsted. Is the only one. He's the only one that actually hit Orsted, huh? The other two didn't even stand a chance. And he actually did some damage to Orsted as well. Like when Orsted blocked Rudius's attack, his hand was fucked up. And you saw Rudius like, damn, okay, I've been through so much with Rujid, with Eris, with I still have to go find my mother and Lilia and Aisha and all these people. And you saw it, at least for me, that scene was like, there's clearly so much more beneath the surface that Rudius has, and I guess whoever he was in the past life, the Hikimura, has, that is still yet to be tapped, which is also, I'm so excited for season 2 as to how they're going to bring that out. But I really feel like that moment with Paul and that moment where he fought Orsted changed his interpersonal relationships, where he was even more serious, even more committed, even more where things registered on a higher emotional level for Rudius. And I thought that was a really interesting time. And I agree. actually, no, funny enough, I didn't think of it this way until you said that, Ali. How taking into consideration this could be allegorical to other things, being sent away from home, having to create these friendships, having to change and whatnot. I think that those moments were really quintessential in shaping um how Rudius's character and also other characters, right? Because like one way or another, Rugid changed, Iris changed, Paul, everybody changed, right? Like
Everybody did.
Everybody.
Yeah.
obviously Rugid, he was. I think that's why it's so beautiful as well, because he was just like Rudius was in the past life, completely isolated from damn near everything until now he's met somebody and is opening up, trying to change the world for himself, right? Iris was spoiled, was less spoiled, more serious. Paul fell into a horrible depression, right? And then he had that reunion, and then he was just like, let me shave, let me get my shit together, let me get even more serious. He's back to that.
Hell yeah.
And everyone had those, sorts of changes. And I think that's why those sorts of key moments, like reuniting with Paul, fighting Orsted, even for better or for worse, the moment where he reads Iris's note, and the cup falls, and you see even Iris is like, you know what? I can't be with you right now. I need to go off on my own journey and develop even more. You see those quintessential moments of how that, personal development affects their interpersonal relationships, which is why I agree with you, Ali. I think there's so much more to it. One thing though I want to talk about, we've talked about, him being on the Demon Continent, on Millis, on obviously the Central Continent. One of the things I don't want to miss is how they've done the world building. Because I thought, at least in my opinion, I think I sent this meme to the group chat. I forgot what it is, but it's like a picture of other like villages in isekai anime,
In other isekai anime.
and then Mushoku Tensei. What did you guys think of the world building? Like, what how did that affect your viewing experience? Miguel, I remember you were telling me some things about that. What were your thoughts on the world building in Mushoku Tensei?
First, it's unique, right? Because you don't really see various places in the typical isekai anime, right? It's just one town, and they just go to dungeons and all that. But this one, Mushoku Tensei really did it, They went to the forest and the typical town, the forest, and the villages.
that they had.
Different designs, like where Roxy came from, where Ghislaine came from. It's all different, and they have their own characteristics. Like they have their blue hair, and the other ones are like man beasts, something like that.
Yeah,
And for me, I was
Yeah, from
was
the
great.
guild. Yeah.
because out of all out of all the places that they went to, Siguro my favorite place was the place that Rudius reunited with his dad.
Dad.
Was
oh, the Millis Continent.
yeah, the Milishan, holy country of Milis. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, and I saw that's the picture and the meme that you sent. It's like it's so
Yeah,
well
yeah,
built.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like wow. I just can't say anything. Like just wow. Flash it, editor.
No, I agree. I think it went crazy. What about you, Ali? What are your thoughts on the world building and how they executed that?
I really like it because in the beginning he's at his house in his
Yeah.
hometown. They make it seem all peaceful, very homey, and you feel that connection to that
Yeah.
to that homey vibe. And now when he's traveling, you get to see these different kinds of people, different races, different types of villages. Whereas, example, is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? It's mainly in their
In the
I
main
don't know,
town.
town in
Yeah.
the main town, and we're only just starting to get to know about the other outside different gods and outside people, whatever armies. I don't know what you call them.
Like
I
The mobs.
forget.
the different nations like when they
Yeah, yeah,
travel to
different
other
nations.
cities and whatnot.
Yeah. Whereas in Mushoku Tensei, you're exposed to these different areas quite early on, or like
Yeah,
I
we're in
guess
season
midway,
one.
which I like. Yeah, and now everything seems hectic. But when they come back to his hometown, I feel like as a viewer, it also makes you feel at home, kind of, because it's all been peaceful memories there. And then now he's sent into this void of danger. So I feel like it's good in
Yeah.
terms of intriguing or capturing the audience's awareness to the world they're in. That's what I
Right,
think.
and maybe it makes it even more impactful because like when they come back, you feel, because like you said, right, you have the connection to the like homeliness of where he grew up, and he comes back and you see it just
It was
completely devastated.
destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah, if you feel it
Tough.
even more yourself, you know what I mean? I get
Yeah.
that. What about you, Roy? What are your thoughts? How do you like the world building of Mushoku Tensei? Maybe compared to other animes or just generally?
I do agree with Ali. Like in the beginning of like where he was born from, like the village area, it felt a little like nostalgic. It felt homely. Like you do get to familiarize yourself with that plane of field, like that world itself,
Yeah,
because it felt like it was a character of its own. Like he lived in a neighbor that's like very welcoming. Everyone said hi, hi, right?
Yeah.
Remember
yeah,
when Rudius just left the house
yeah,
and he was on the backside, like horseback with Roxy,
yeah,
and he was just saying hi, hi. That's world building, and that felt like okay, you're getting to know the world a little bit more, and Rudius from his from that perspective. And then yes, he did move on from another play like world, basically in a different land, when his dad or basically his family made him get a job and help Eris out. And then I think this is when I believe the pacing started getting a little bit better for me, which is why I said that. Which is after the calamity, they kept hopping on from different worlds.
yeah.
Every single world that they went to, or like not world, but like every different land that they went to or area, it felt like it was its own character too, because everyone had different characteristics from that. Was that one had blue hair in the village? If they were at the guild arc, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was like half beasts, right? Like everyone is still shocked because you really didn't see that much. The only introduction we got from beast people was when Rudius was met that warrior woman.
Ghislaine.
The Paul, yeah,
Killing.
Paul's friend, yeah,
Yeah.
Paul's guild member friend. Yeah, that was for our first introduction, and that with then from then we got shocked. It's like, oh, okay, there are other people like that. Okay, that's cool, right? We do know of it, right?
Yeah.
Because Roxy doesn't come from that village, of course not. Like we are familiar with like different races, different types of magic in this world. Like we're still easing our way into that, but we got introduced correctly because of the village that he was born into. And then later on, throughout, you get like two different areas, like in Millis, and the village. Like that's what made you feel like the pacing was going correctly because it kept jumping from one world to another, and it didn't feel like it was stagnant at all.
Right.
It felt like with every land or area that they got to, there was development, and it felt like it was purposeful. They
Right.
didn't just go because they were hopping from one place to another. No, they're learning something along the way. In the guild member arc, when he was like waiting in the line, Rudius was waiting in the back saying, "Okay, it's not the right time." And then the guild member, like one of the guild, the three people that
Yeah.
got killed by the giant mob,
The snake.
yeah, he
thing.
died. Yeah, yeah, and then Spared hated that. And
Yeah.
then there's another one where Spared killed that person in the
When they were
it was
the
in the
kidnapping
cave. In the cave.
Yeah, kidnapping the pets. That one.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
kidnapping the pets. Yeah, yeah. That felt like holy shit. With every area that they go to, it's all different and it's all like progressively like positive for their development. And I felt like it was purposeful, as I said. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
in terms of that world building, I don't feel like we have yet scratched the surface of it all because they are still going on. They're still on that journey. They're still looking for other people. Who knows where the wife is, right? Or like the
Yeah.
mom rather. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'm
exactly.
excited in that on that behalf. I think this is really good world building. Like I don't have a metric. I don't have a comparison for it.
Yeah.
But maybe not even a comparison for an isekai anime because the last one I watched was like Shangri-La Frontier, and he skipped an entire town because he was a high level.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
I get what you mean.
Like I get it. I get it. It's funny, but this one felt a little bit more fleshed out, and I
Right.
felt like that was really good to see. In terms of world building, I think that was excellent.
I
And
agree
also
with
one
you.
thing I want to mention:
Go ahead.
character building, not only with Rudius, but with Spurred guy
Yeah.
and Roxy.
Yes.
Roxy finally reuniting with her family.
Yeah.
Spurred guy trying to erase the name of his people to make it peaceful again. And you can clearly see the development like compared to earlier on and now.
I
It
agree.
gets better. The pacing. It's not only the pacing, but it just felt like everyone is kind of on the journey to discover themselves, and you are seeing it from Rudius's point of view. Yes, that's true. But you also get to see it with the people that he's surrounded himself with, especially with Eris, with Roxy, with Spared. Like everyone is on that journey, and everyone is developing, even with the world that they go into. It's like that saying, you people either change with their surroundings or their surroundings change because of them.
Oh, that's
Like
true.
it's like it is like that in One Piece. It is like that in a lot of animes that we watch recently, especially with shonen anime.
Yeah.
But this one specifically, it just feels like everything is changing, right? They're all impactful. They feel like with every land or area that they go to, they just are there for a purpose, right? They
Yeah.
go to another.
Moves along the plot and develops
It moves along the
somehow.
plot. Yeah, yeah. Nobody has to die. There's nothing. There's no plot points that felt a little bit like shoved down our throats. Well, there are a few in the beginning, but I do get why they're doing that because it's hard because you don't really you have to jump from place to place
Yeah.
in the beginning of the anime. But now that they are, it's like okay, it's moving along. Like it's
Yeah.
really good. It doesn't get boring.
You know something I want to add to that, right? Because I agree with everything both of you just said. And I think something that intensifies that even more, something that Miggy said, right, is in a lot of different animes, sometimes you'll be like, oh, this is a dark elf, they come from this forest. This is, dwarves, they come from this kingdom, da 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 da. But you don't really get to see the intricacies of the places they come from. So you have a general understanding, and maybe once in a while you'll get an episode or two, but there isn't like the full fleshing out, as you're saying, right? And I think what Miggy pointed out, right, like where Roxy comes from, this is how this tribe talks. This is what this is. This is how this place is on the demon continent. This is how Millis is. I think by us understanding that at the point at the end of the season where we see a lot of like storylines come together. So Roxy going back home, right? It makes it even more impactful when we see how Rujid meets with travelers and is delighted to be called a spurred as he walks along the path. It's even more impactful, right? And I think that the world building helps to, like Miggy was saying, kind of flesh out the characters by giving us the cultural context that they come from, making those plot points even more impactful. Which I'm not saying that no animes do that, but it is definitely like somewhat of a rarity. You know what I mean?
It's a hard find. It's not fleshed out as much. I mean, from the animes that I do watch, I'm saying this from on a personal level. I think that in Mushoku Tensei they did it correctly. I think they did it in a way where it's just like it got a lot more interesting, even if they were hopping from place to place. Because if you fail at that, it would feel like, oh, I just met these guys. Why are we moving along to another place? Like everyone felt like once they reached that land, that entire arc that they're going through in that land felt complete. And then they can move on to a different place, and then they can move on to a different place. That's why it felt like the pacing was correct, and that's why I thought that they executed it like really good.
I agree with you. Here's something I'll throw out to you that I wonder if you feel was well executed within this anime, right? I think that there were, as Ali pointed out earlier, a lot of different themes, right? Some allegorical, some quite literal, right? How do you think that one of the things that I think was the main theme, right? At least in my opinion, feel free to, disagree with me or say whatever you think. I think that overcoming trauma was one of the centralized themes that we saw through, personal development, through interpersonal development and whatnot. How do you think that the show did, or at least the first season did, in terms of addressing that throughout it? Do you think that it was well executed? Do you think that he did overcome trauma? Do you think that he was still traumatized and never had a chance of recovering? Like, how do you think that worked out? What are your thoughts, Mr. Wayman?
In the beginning, I feel like it was somewhat executed in terms of him, because when he first went onto the horse, he was scared. Like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. But when he actually went, he like, oh, this isn't so bad. I like this.
Mm.
And then everything else happened. So in terms of that part specifically, it addressed it in that way. But I don't know what other trauma.
The
This
reason,
kamsi kamsa. Like I do agree with Ali's. Like yes, there is trauma from that. Like he was on a horseback and then like he thought that like, oh shit, I can't go through that. Like I can't do this. But then he did, and then he kind of overcame it. I think the central theme is more on overcoming things rather
Okay.
than trauma itself. Because trauma, yes, it does exist. He did live a past life. Like that's the good thing about this isekai was that, yeah, you are living a new life.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with that new life, knowing that you've died in your last one? You know what I mean? Like to me, that's just me personally. but I
Spit,
do
my
agree.
boy, spit. You know what I'm saying?
It's all Ali, dude. This is all I thought.
No, fair. Okay,
Also,
what about
family.
you? You think family was
Family
the
seems
central
to
theme?
be a big focus because you have Rudi's family. Now we have Roxy's family, her uniting. And
Yeah.
now we have Ghislaine, who, like, oh,
Mm.
we don't like her. She's this, she's that. But then when they actually got to know through their stories how she actually is, like, oh, tell her to come back, like she's accepted now. So,
Tell her to come back.
Turn our back on families.
come back.
No,
Yeah,
okay,
I think
fair.
family plays a huge part as well in
I
this
agree.
story.
I agree. What about you, Miggy? What do you think were some of the main themes throughout the first season that like really connected with you?
Yeah, like they said.
What about like what you said, Miggy?
Yeah,
Just
what
kidding,
about
just
you?
kidding. I think I'll go with the one Ali said with the trauma and Roy. But instead of just overcoming it, I think he's also outgrowing it and slowly accepting it because whenever he's with Man God, right, he's with in his old body, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, he must be reminded all over again of what his past life is, how he was abused and all that. But he's not really complaining anymore whenever he sees his body down the line, you know? Whenever he converses with Man God. So I feel like, okay, he's slowly accepting it, outgrowing it, you know? And I'm excited for season 2. I haven't really caught up with you guys, but I'm excited to see how much he's going to grow even more, you know, and overcome his
Yeah.
trauma of like being harassed.
No, that's really interesting because your point makes so much sense, right? Like right on the pass in the when he fought Orsted and died, he was completely different, right? Like from his first death, and he was completely different in his ethereal self as to how he accepted that and whatnot. And I think what you said, Miggy, really ties into what you said a minute ago, Roy. You died, and now you're giving this new world. What are you going to do with it, right? And he dies, and in the first time, he had an interesting reaction, maybe much more aggressive and much more unbalanced or ungrounded reaction. But this time, right, it was much more of an appreciative one. He was like, okay, well, I did the best that I could, and he did. He believed that, and he was okay, a lot more at peace. And when he, turns out he didn't die and gets to go back, he was even more appreciative. So I think like Miggy has a good point, and I actually didn't really catch that until you brought it up, Miggy. But that degree of like his growth, he's actually outgrowing and moving past it. I really like that perspective. That's dope. All right, well, okay, so I really appreciate your thoughts on it because I really wanted to explore those. The one last thing I think we can kind of cap it up on, I know we've mentioned a couple of these, but I just wanted to see where you guys were at. What was like one or some of the most notable moments in the first season for each of you guys? Miguel, I know you were mentioning how many the other day. For you, which one was the most, or like what was the most notable moment that really
Oh,
like
man.
stuck with you? And
When
why?
they had the encounter with Orsted, bro, that was like amazing because he's one of the seven gods, right, of that world,
Yeah.
and just random. Then he just spawns randomly there, like, oh, the dragon gods are there. Oh, okay, so let's see what's gonna happen. I'm like, okay, most of them got one shot. One shot. I was like, okay, he's a god then. It's okay. And then, and then it was one more notable thing was how Man God and Rudius was talking about Orsted. I'm like, huh? Why does the Man God and the Dragon God have beef with each other if if they're not in the same dimension? Like I think they met somewhere. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to form theories now. It's because it's because it's how interesting the scene is. It's like, okay, it made me think more, and I want to even like I want to watch more because of that scene.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, since Man God said Orsted's powerful enough to destroy the world. All right, so I'm assuming that every god in that verse uh, is powerful enough to destroy anything. So here's my theory. As someone who just watched
Yeah.
season one, don't hate me, guys. Okay.
No, no,
So
no. Hit us with it. Hit us
No,
with it.
no.
also the viewers.
Say
So I think
what you want.
my
Yeah,
theory
go
is
ahead.
the the cause of the calamity is caused by one of the gods. You know,
Oh shit!
we don't know which one, but there are 7 of them, and one of
One
them
of them.
is already revealed, and it's already the strongest. You know, but it was revealed that he's also finding out what caused the calamity, right? So it must be the others.
Yeah.
You know, because
Why do you think?
because
Why do you think they did it?
that's the thing I haven't thought about it, but that's already, that's already at the top of my
It's
head.
good that you have the theories. You have the
Yeah.
questions. No, you have the questions. You just don't have the
Yeah.
answers.
But like, it's just really wow to think about that. The dragon god's there, and he has beef with the man god. Like, okay, I want to see more of that. I really want to see more of that, and I want to see the man god manifest himself in that dimension that where Rudius is in to fight the dragon god. You know, that would be interesting.
Okay.
That would be interesting.
Okay.
And also,
Okay,
just something I want to add on. Why is the man god seeing Rudius as his old self, but this god is down in front of them seeing him as Rudius? Like, you know?
It's a good
I don't
question.
know.
I
Theories
And
out of theories,
also,
right?
the. Is he what? Dragon god?
Yeah. Orsted?
When he met Rudius, he's like, oh, so you're man god,
Apostle, right?
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
apostle. So there's been more than just Rudius who's been
Oh.
reincarnated. I guess you can say, right?
Oh. Boys, the tinfoil hats are warm.
Okay.
Never thought of this. I'll be honest.
I mean,
Never had these theories. That's cool.
there's a lot of different animes where you'll have, like, that'll be a thing, right? Like you know, the time I was reincarnated as a slime doesn't shy away from that. They're like, yeah, there's a lot of reincarnated people in this world, sort of thing. So I think what that means is we need to watch season 2 immediately. We don't need sleep. We need answers. You know what I'm saying?
We need answers.
Yeah.
Because my
but,
theory is not backed up. It's trash.
Besides
Here
theories
nonetheless.
aside, what notable moments really resonated for you, Mr. Alleyway?
I guess him seeing his dad again, reducing his dad again.
A touching moment.
They go from fighting to like hugging. That shows like, I mean, no matter what happens, family's still family. You
You
know?
never turn your back on
And
family.
they started working together now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's the main one.
Fair enough. What about you, Roy? What really, like, because again, I think your perspective is going to be interesting, right? You're like, I don't like his character motivation. Okay, I kind of like it. Okay, so after like the full development, what really resonated for you?
Like, as I already said, my favorite moment was when he witnessed those in the alleyway where
death.
Blaine killed the death, right? That one to me was like, stood out. But I'll give you another one. The entire first part of where he was just learning magic. To me, I'd like a training arc. So that to me was like really good. So especially like you get to see why he wants to do it. There's a little bit of a competitive side to him that made him want to do it. There was a side to him that wanted to do it to impress Roxy. There was a side to it to show that he was like he's more than just a child. He was doing it because that's what he wants to do. Like he was gifted. He was a prodigy when he found that book when he was just a baby. He found the book and just threw a water ball.
Yeah.
Like just outside the attic.
Yeah.
That was very fun to see. But yeah, that entire training arc, I just like it.
I respect.
Also, one thing I want to say, with every isekai, the main character is like, damn, he's so strong. Look at that. And then you approach the end of the season, comes out a guy, dun dun dun, and just one shots the main character, and then you're like, damn, like how far can their power scaling go from here? You guys to train more.
Yeah,
There's more to come. Yes.
Always, always. Dude.
Yeah.
I agree. You know what's funny about that, right? Is one of the things I like about this is even though he's OP, it graduates by level, right? Because, and actually, I think this relates exactly to what Roy was saying. You know, ever since he saw somebody die, like Rudius is the only one who doesn't kill, right? Like Rugid has no issues doing it. Paul has been doing it forever. Iris slapping up somebody for breakfast. You know what I mean? Like no issues, right? Yet Rudius, when he was defending the Beast Village, he could have if he wanted to, and he still can. He could be one of the most powerful fighters, right? But he actively restrains himself. And I definitely think when he saw those dudes die, it probably left a strong impact on him. And the only time you saw Rudius fight to kill was against Orsted, right? And you saw him use what is, I don't know if it was all of his power, probably not, seeing as he couldn't breathe, was dying and whatnot. But, you know, he used a solid amount of his power, and that was like clearly levels above everybody else. So that was actually really exciting. I'm going to make that a note. That moment when he shot that, I don't know, bullet, lightning bolt, like firebolt, whatever, I think that was one of my favorite moments. I definitely think that when he reunited with Paul, that was also one of my favorite moments. That was, again, obviously super impactful. But you know what was one that also really resonated with me, at least on a personal level, was when he fell into the depression after Iris left. And I could really feel that, and I could really feel how it went. And it wasn't just it's not to spite his depression, or for whatever reason, but he still felt it. He was still with it. He was still heavy, but he decided to get up yet again and begin the journey to search for his mother. For whatever, maybe it was just because it was at the very end, but that really resonated with me because, again, one of the things I think about with this series, right? And like I said, I take it from like the past life to now. So for me, that is a long timeline. Is he has had multiple attempts now at trying to be better, at trying to overcome the trauma, like Mickey said, outgrow it and whatnot. And I think that's a very real place to be. I don't know if you're ever going to outgrow traumatic things or this or the other, or if you'll ever fully recover whatnot. But I think there is a mentality or a place you get to as to how to keep pushing or growing or moving forward despite whatever's happening. And when he did that, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when he did that, it felt like that to me. You know what I mean? So that was a pretty amazing moment. Anyways, I think we touched on some really amazing notes. I think we hit everything pretty fleshed out, pretty in depth. I really appreciate your thoughts. I'm glad that you guys brought up, at least for me, and I hope you guys feel the same sort of way, things at least I didn't think about, you know, from Miggy's conspiracy theories behind the man god, the dragon gods, and the other gods. The way Aliyu saw it, like, allegorically between, you know, the anime, but also how, like, that had real life implications. And Roy, I really did appreciate your thoughts on character motivations and development and how that affects the viewership, because like I don't ostracize you or like I don't think, you know, that there's a difference in your thoughts. I think it's really valuable and worthwhile because I think that adds depth to being able to appreciate a character. So I appreciate you guys' thoughts on this. And now I ask you, please, let us watch season 2. Let us finish season 2
right after this.
Right after this.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, what?
Rate it out of 10.
Oh,
How many rice bowls?
perfect. How many rice bowls out of 10? Miggy, you go first.
9.8.
Oh, that's way too high.
Season 1. I
damn.
like it. I like it.
Friction.
No. Sorry. I didn't mean
I'm
it.
fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
Wait.
All right. Roy, you spoke up. You're next. How many rice bowls out of 10?
I would do 7 rice bowls with like 3 grains of sand just falling out. Like it's good. It's good. I just can't wait. You know, I would say that I enjoyed a lot of things more in this anime than I did with a lot of other animes that I've rated higher.
Okay.
But it's just as a package, I would say it's a 7.
Okay. Fair enough. What about you, Ali?
8 rice bowls.
Fair enough. I would low key probably give it like 8.8 or 9 out of 10. For me, this is definitely an instant classic. I don't know
Yeah,
if it's
I agree.
better than or worse than, like, say, Is the Wrong Trying to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, Ari Ferretta, Overlord. There's a lot of instant classics in my mind, and I know that at least for me this belongs up there. But you know what I'm going to be interested in? Let's make a note of where everyone what everyone rates it. When we go do season 2, let's have a rating of season 2 and then an overall rating and see if it's changed, because I wonder what more after another season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I was saying, let's jump into another season immediately, please. Let's watch it. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's do season 2 part 1. Let's do a review of that, and then season 2 part 2 when it's finished. Let's do a review of that, because guys, I need more. I need more of this. And I know Miggy's tinfoil hats they're ready, man. I can feel the electricity crackling.
Yeah, he made some for us already.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I appreciate you guys joining me here, and definitely everybody watching. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. If you made it this far, you are a real one. You're a real piece of rice. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Let us know in the comments what your thoughts were. What were your favorite characters? What were your favorite moments? What did you think of the world building? What did you think of the interpersonal relationships? Talk to us. Do you disagree with us? Agree with us? Rap with us, because I think there's still so much more to dive in. If you like this type of content, let us know if you want us to make more on other animes, on other types of media, or whatnot. Please like, comment, subscribe, ding dong notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And we will see you in the next episode. Until then, we've been OverRice.
Bye-bye.
See you.